every single week I get to do this. I said I get to do this. I learned something on social media this morning. Some people say, oh man, I got to go pick up my kids, or I got to run to this meeting, or I gotta. Yeah, but what if we look at it, we frame it differently, and you say, I get to do this. I get to go pick up my children. I get to go to that meeting, right? Wordplay. Is it wordplay or is it semantics? I don't know, but it makes you think of things differently. This is your boy, Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you, out of breath. You know why I'm out of breath, everybody? Because I come up 2 flights to get to the attic, just below the roof. That's where I hail from. That's where this studio, if you'll bear me that the freedom to call where I operate from a studio, but this is where I hail from, my attic. I do this particular program every single Friday morning, do a couple things with the leaders of nonprofit organizations. If I haven't said it, the show's called Philanthropy and Focus. I might not have even said it yet, but if I haven't, I just did again. But here's the deal. I get this opportunity to meet with leaders of nonprofit organizations. I think today is episode 117 or 118 of an idea that I had, a figment of my imagination. And now I get the opportunity every week to do this show, to live out. I used to laugh when people would be doing a job and saying, I would say, hey, how you doing? And they would say, living the dream. And I knew they weren't really living the dream. They would just say, living the dream. And they would really be, doing a job. But I found out that this hour that I carve out, and in particular, many hours I get to hang out in the nonprofit sector each week, but this particular hour is incredibly important to me. And I am living a dream here, man, because this is something I came up with, and it's something that I do every week. The 2 things we do is I help the leader of the nonprofit tell their story, and as I like to say, amplify their message. Amplify their message of how critically important the programmatic work that they're doing, the community involvement is that they're doing. And really, especially when we talk about an organization like we're going to talk to the CEO of Variety Boys and Girls Club of Queens here this morning, my friend Costa, we're going to talk about the impact and the change on the trajectory of young people's lives. We'll get into that in just a couple minutes. But before I even go in, Costa, I got a couple things I got to say in a second, but I want to just say good morning to you. So it's not like you're lonely. I don't want to leave you. I'm so lonely. I don't want you to be lonely. Costa Constantinides, what's up, brother? How are you?
Hey, Tommy, how are you, brother? It's great. Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm thrilled to have you on. I will say this, if you're only listening on the podcast world or streaming somewhere, you don't get to see my great Variety Boys and Girls Club hoodie. I will tell you this, it is not hoodie weather right now, but you know what? I'm taking one for the team. It's about 75 degrees, probably 80 degrees here in the attic, but I wanted to wear my hoodie, and that's, sometimes you gotta tough it out, Costa. That's just the way it is, right?
Yeah, you gotta do the hard work. That's it, brother. I gotta get you one of these next time. I got the variety. I got the polo.
Oh, so that's the polo. All right. So
we got a whole bunch of swag.
All right. I love swag. I really do. I'm a big fan. It's not a requirement that I get free stuff, but I do like to get when people hook me up. But it's funny. Like I said, talk about free stuff. I was out with you for a tour. Shout out to Uncle Brendan Levy, my buddy from the Queens Chamber of Commerce. And he took us on a tour with you and your team, and it was really, really special. And I just made a comment because you had the hoodie on, and I was like, oh man, that's a really cool hoodie. I love hoodies. The next thing I know, you go into the back and you got like 7 hoodies for those of us who were on the tour, and everybody got a hoodie. It was like that Oprah show. You get a hoodie, and you get a hoodie, and you get a hoodie, and everybody gets a hoodie. And which was so like generous of you, and we appreciate it. And I'm rocking it, man. I rock it all the time because I love to wear a hoodie. It's, even in the summertime when it's cool out, shorts and a hoodie, nothing better than that. But you didn't come here to hear about my wardrobe, everybody, or maybe you did. And if you did, I could keep talking about it. Let me know. Here's a couple things I wanted to point out before we get into our conversation about your background, Costa, the organization, the work they do. I want to shout out a couple things this week. What is it when you're the nonprofit sector connector? Let me tell you, Wednesday night, I was in the city with an organization that's a client of ours, our firm, Vanguard Benefits. We do the benefits for Exponents. This is an organization down in Lower Manhattan, Battery Park. What a great view of Liberty State Park and the whole thing down there. They work with individuals with mental health issues, with substance abuse issues, and people living with HIV and/or AIDS. And this is a 35-year-old organization. Had a wonderful time with the leadership and the folks there, and there was awards given out. That was Wednesday night, only to go Thursday morning to lunchtime, a luncheon with transitional services for New York, TSINY, out of Queens, serving 4,000 individuals with mental health issues in the city. I left that event, brief time back home, to go to a gala last night with an organization called Tigerman, which is a special education or a community of schools that serve the intellectually and developmentally disabled. And that's shout out to my buddy Scott Horowitz from TD Bank, who's on the board there and invited me to be his +1. And he was a great guy to hang out with last night. We had a nice time, met some great people. But that's what it's all about. It's about putting the names out there, shouting out the organizations, letting everybody know. That's what Philanthropy and Focus is. It's my opportunity to tell you about these organizations and the great work they're doing. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, so that is certainly something that I am very mindful of. Later in the month, we'll have Matt Kudish, the Executive Director, CEO of NAMI NYC, the National Association on Mental Illness, and he'll be on the show to round off the month of May. So, Costa, without further ado, really, let's get into it. I mean, city council member for a number of years, very involved in the community. I mean, I could read some of this stuff. Just you help secure millions in capital funding towards this reimagined clubhouse, which we're going to be talking about today. 16,000 kids are going to be served by the organization at that point. We can get into the building that's coming. I saw the plans. I had that opportunity to do that, and I'm blessed to be a part of that, just to see the vision of what you all are doing. And I met some of your board members there. Walter Sanchez, right? Walter,
Yep.
The board chair.
Yes, the board president. Yeah,
board president. Yeah. So we can get into all this today. What I really want to start with is, who are you, sir? Where'd you come from? What's your background? What are you doing? And how do you get to this point where you're leading this very important organization?
Tommy, thank you. I really appreciate being on today and Philanthropy and Focus. You guys, non-sector connector, you do your thing. And I really appreciate your coming out to the club and touring with us and getting to know me better and get to know our organization better. So the fact that you took the time out of your busy schedule for us, I'm super grateful, brother.
Thank you, bro.
But I grew up in Astoria. I've been here my whole life. I went to PS 84, 122, Bryan High School. My first job was on Genovese on Steinway Street.
Genovese, yeah. Wow. We used to have Genovese, man. There used to be one in New Hyde Park on Hillside Avenue. Used to go to that Genovese. I remember Genovese.
Yeah, I worked right on Steinway and 31st Ave back in the day, and put myself through college, going to Queens College, working as a manager at KB Toys, because I dropped out of college twice and started college when I was 26 years old. So, I put myself through college, went to law school, and while I was in law school, they plucked me to go work at the city council. I was legislative director to Councilmember Darlene Mealy, and then Councilmember Jim Gennaro, whose wife, Wendy Gennaro, does great work.
We know Wendy very, very well, QCP and all the work she does with the population, adults with intellectual developmental disabilities. Shout out, Wendy. Love you. We got to get Terry Ross from QCP on the show. But so Wendy married to Jim Gennaro, who you worked with.
Yeah, worked for Jim for 6 years, and then I ran for office myself, and spent 8 years as a city council member, and it was a blast. It was a blessing on my life to serve the neighborhood I grew up. And I'm raising my own son. He learned to swim at the Boys and Girls Club. My mom actually worked there. It was her first job back in the workforce 30 years ago. She worked there for about a year as a bookkeeper. So I knew the Boys and Girls Club well. I was supportive of their efforts when I was a council member. And then I got a phone call one day from Walter Sanchez saying, hey, I know you're looking to transition from public office. I know that you're dealing with some real serious stuff family-wise. Would you consider it? And wasn't on my radar. Wasn't even something I was thinking about.
Right.
And I thought he was calling me for a completely different reason. And the more I gave it thought, the more I thought about, how can I, help this organization? How can I, still serve my community that I love so much and a part of my whole life? It's given me so much. How can I do that? And then I was like, well, you know what? This is the right fit. This is the right fit for me, my fit for my family, the right fit for the neighborhood. I'm going to take this gig and run with it. So I was very lucky to take on this new role. And now I've been CEO of the Boys and Girls Club for 2 years.
2 years, like a blink of an eye. I want to go back. We're going to get way into the Boys and Girls Club and just the obvious impact on the community. But I want to understand sort of this trajectory as a council member. Did you never really saw yourself in office, or did you? Did you think about that? Was that like a goal? Did you look up to people in the community who were, people who were activators or activists or politicians or somebody we had Assembly member Linda Rosenthal on another program I do, we call the Professionals and Animal Lovers Show, and the word she used, she did not use the word politician. I believe by design, she used the word elected official. So did you see yourself as being a potential elected official one day? Talk to me about that.
You've seen the Matrix, right?
Yes, I have.
And when he fights the agents and he jumps out, he saves Morbius and he jumps out, and Morbius just turns to Trinity and says he's starting to believe. Right? That's what it was for me, because I never thought about being a public servant. I was a kid who dropped out of college twice, who started college at 26, who went back to school to give it one last shot and said I was going to be I was going to be a lawyer. That was the plan. And then I started helping people. And the more I started helping people, the more I decided that's what I really wanted to do. So it just was a trajectory of how can I help? And the more good things I was able to accomplish, the more I felt I could do more. And that kind of led me to think about, okay, I'm going to run for office. And I knocked on 12,000 doors in my first race myself, because I went door to door to door saying, it's a job interview. Yeah. I want you to hire me. I want you to do the things I'm going to do. And here's the things I want to hear from you that I can get fixed.
In that, let me just look it up real quick. It's 22, right? New York City Council, District 22.
Yes, it is.
How many constituents do you have? How many people? You knock 12,000 doors, which, first of all, I'm a salesman. I've knocked on a lot of doors. I don't know if I've yet knocked on 12,000 doors in all my life of sales. That's a lot of door knocking. You get bloody knuckles when you're knocking on that many doors. But tell me about shoes. Right? Yeah, you got to wear sneakers. I used to say, as a wise guy, when I'd have a sales manager come out with me, I would say, hey, listen, man, we're going to be running around the neighborhoods. We're going to be in Queens. I need you to wear sneakers. I don't think you should wear dress shoes. We're going to be moving a lot. We wore dress shoes anyway because we wore suits. But anyhow, so how many constituents are in that district that you were a public servant of?
There were 160,000 constituents. Of that, we were expecting somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15,000 people that were going to vote.
Okay.
So I was trying to talk to every voter that we knew were going to be and some that weren't. We were trying to talk to as many people as possible to get out the word and say, hey, look, we want you to come out. We want you to be part of this process. We need, I want to be your voice. And the only way I can be your voice is that for me to engage with you and have a conversation with you.
100%. We're going to go to a quick break, but that's what I'm hearing from you. You use these word public servant. You said I wanted to serve the people. So yes, you were out there looking to kind of drum up quote unquote business, right? Get them so they knew who you were. But ultimately, with your vision, if I could just be so bold to guess, you wanted to know what they needed. So you weren't there, right, saying, hey, vote for me. You were like, what's important to you? Because you have to understand what's important to the community, right?
Yeah, I mean, the first press conference I had was on garbage, because what I heard on the street was that we needed garbage pickup, we needed the streets cleaner, and actually, then my first thing in office that I did is I brought in the Doe Fund and ACE to clean our streets, like good nonprofits that hire formerly incarcerated men and women who give them a job back in the workforce to sweep the streets of Astoria. So that was my first sort of action was, because this was people told me they knew they wanted. And it was that was a win for the neighborhood.
How fundamental, gang, right? How fundamental can you keep the garbage off our streets? Yeah, that's what we'd like you to do, future city council member. That's what the people are asking for. I'm not familiar with ACE, but I certainly am familiar and aware of the Doe Fund. Maybe we could talk, about them if we have time later on. But just, the collaboration that you create as a public servant and now as the leader of this organization, it goes without saying that you are a public servant. Look, this show is called Philanthropy and Focus. We take a couple breaks throughout the show. Costa, Constantinides, and I've been practicing that. How am I doing with the last name before we go to a break?
Oh, you're doing awesome, man. No one's, you haven't called me Costco yet. And,
No, I will not. I will not call you Costco. I will not do that. I asked you when we started the show. I wanted to say Costa. You said Costa. So I have to write it out as Costa.
you got it down. You got it down.
I have to write it down. So, all right, we will be right back. We'll jump right back into this important conversation. Right back. Philanthropy and Focus.
Are you a business owner? Do you want to be a business owner? Do you work with business owners? Hi, I'm Stephen Fry, your small and medium-sized business or SMB guy, and I'm the host of the new show, Always Friday. While I love to have fun on my show, we take those Friday feelings of freedom and clarity to discuss popular topics on the minds of SMBs today. Please join me and my various special guests on Friday at 11 a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you on edge? Hey, we live in challenging, edgy times, so let's lean in. I'm Sandra Bargman, the host of The Edge of Every Day, which airs each Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc. Tune in live with me and my friends and colleagues as we share stories and perspectives about pushing boundaries and exploring our rough edges. That's The Edge of Every Day on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Join me in my attic. I don't know if you know the singer. I mean, you do know the singer of that song, Costa, but I don't know if you know who. That's Brendan Levy from the Queen's Chamber of Commerce, who made the introduction to you and I. I don't know if you know that he's a singer in a band. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Just last Thursday night, Brendan and the Damaged Goods, as they're now called, performed at Bourbon Street in Bayside, Queens. Shout out to the gang at Bourbon Street. Shout out to TSINY, because we raised a few bucks that night for TSINY, Transitional Services for New York, which I mentioned earlier. But Brendan and the team, these guys, they rock and roll, man. And years ago, 2-3 years ago, I asked him, I said, look, I need a theme song. Can you make a theme song? And he and I wrote the lyrics, but he's the singer. But the other night we were out together in the city. I took him to that event I mentioned earlier. And on the train ride back, we were singing the lyrics to my song, much to the disappointment of the other riders on the Long Island Railroad. But it is what it is. So I'm reading my notes, and we talked about the outreach from the community, as you were a council member saying, we need to address this trash situation, right? And then later or maybe it was earlier on, you'll have to tell me, but you became the NYC Environmental Justice Advisory Board. You became part of that board and also part of the Economic Development, New York City Economic Development Board. And 44 bills were part of your background and what you impacted the city on climate change. And one of this was these Climate Mobilization Act and the Renewable Rikers Act. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because obviously, this background and the connection to supporting the climate change and the effect on the city is certainly important to constituents in the city and folks, residents, as well as people who come to work in the areas.
I mean, it was really personal for me. My son got asthma very young, and I had never had asthma, but I watched him have to take a pill, a vitamin, an allergy medication, something to settle his stomach. He just took all that stuff, and then have to put a nebulizer on his face every morning before he went to school. And he wasn't the only kid. I mean, the asthma rates in Western Queens are above the Queensboro average. So when talking about climate change, it wasn't about just fighting big picture climate change, but it was also like all the fossil fuel in our neighborhood, all that production was coming at a cost to our family's health. So we were, looking to go greener and, helping to move away from dirty fossil fuel and building a new industry, going from Asthma Alley, where we are, to Renewable Row, and all these great renewable energy projects, coming into the neighborhood. So I was very passionate about fighting climate change. We did, we worked super hard on the Climate Mobilization Act, which was the largest emissions reduction policy in the history of any city in the world. And then we worked on the largest environmental justice bill in the history of the country. We worked on, and then we went to Renewable Rikers. When Rikers closes, it'll transform into a renewable energy hub with solar and battery storage, with wastewater treatment plant, with organics, anaerobic digestion. So that was a huge part of my work, and I was really grateful to be able to do it. So when I left the council, I couldn't quit city work. I couldn't quit this. So they asked me to join the EJ advisory board. They asked me to join the board of directors of the Economic Development Corp. Shout out to our borough president, Donovan Richards, who asked me to do it. And, he's a great advocate for Queens. So shout out Donovan. It's his wife's birthday today. So happy birthday, Tamika. We're family.
Happy birthday.
But he asked me to be on the board. So I'm more than happy to serve the city any way I can.
I love that. And I think that's what it is. I mean, I wrote down in the middle of my paper that I'm writing public servant, and that was because you said it earlier, but it's going to continue to pop up for me because I think it takes us into variety in the work that you're doing there. But just as a kind of a frame of reference for those of you who may be listening to this program and are not familiar with New York City and are not familiar with Rikers Island, Rikers Island is the largest jail in New York City. And as Costa sort of mentioned there, will be shutting down eventually, right? I mean, that's on the docket to close down the jail.
Yeah, by 2027, it's supposed to be closed. And we have a unique opportunity here to close, to build all this infrastructure. And it's going to create thousands of jobs, thousands upon thousands of jobs in the borough of Queens, rebuilding a renewable energy hub there that can be transformative and make it healthier so we don't have as much fossil fuel and as much pollution in the air.
Yeah, I know. I had a friend of mine, Michael Pardis, who runs the Bronx Community Development Initiative up in South Bronx, and he's been on the program here. And certainly in parts of the Bronx, underneath, like the Cross Bronx Expressway, you have the apartments there and things like that. And it's not good for folks, man. Young people are getting sicker than people who are not in that neighborhood and not in those areas, and it's just, we have to address these things because this is social determinants of health, right? We talk a lot about that, and to your point, 35, 40 years ago, growing up in Astoria is different than now, right? There's more cars, more trucks, there's more industry. And listen, we are not anti-business, certainly not, but we got to find better ways to do business, right? That's the thing.
Exactly.
That's what it's about. So I want to talk about, let's get into the organization a bit. Walter reaches out to you. Shout out to Walter Sanchez, big media guy in Queens, owns a bunch of papers, does This Is Queensborough for the Queens Chamber of Commerce. Tell me about that. He calls you up, you think it's about something else, you say, yes, I'm in. And like 2 years, for me, I want to say went by like a blip, but I haven't been doing the job for the last 2 years. I've been doing other things. For you, it might not have gone by like such a blip, but tell me about your day in and day out. I mean, again, you have, if you give us a lay of the land, maybe in Astoria, you got the projects in Astoria, right? You have the 3 buildings. Maybe we can kind of set the stage as to kind of establishing the need for this type of community center and how important it is.
Yeah, I mean, so we were opened in 1955 by Judge Charles Vallone. Peter Vallone Sr.'s dad was one of our founders.
Wow. I didn't know that. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And, this guy, Salah Hassanein, who was an Egyptian immigrant who actually rose to be the president of United Artists International, Ann Bueller, and a bunch of other, Cubby Broccoli, who's the executive producer of James Bond. They all got together and said, all Astoria people saw that kids didn't have a productive place to go, saw that there was gang violence in the neighborhood, and that they wanted to do something to combat it and give kids a safe place to go. So they raised $500,000 to buy the land in 1955.
That's a lot of money.
That's like $10 million now.
Wow.
dollar for dollar, through inflation.
Yeah.
So we stand on the shoulders of those giants, right? Like they came in and did this work. And you're right when you say, who we serve, right? Our kids, we serve everyone. But our kids west of 21st Street, you have the largest public housing development in the country in Queensbridge. You have Ravenswood and you have Astoria houses. Those three developments, all of our kids need a place to go that's safe, need a hot meal, need help with their homework, need a place to go where they can find their passions and find their dreams and just be kids, right? Play ball and do art. And, after my wife died, my 10 days after I took this job, my wife passed away.
Oh my God. My condolences, man.
Thank you. But my little boy, he found solace in the Boys and Girls Club doing art with Miss Liz. And he's a sports kid. He loves throwing a baseball. That's his, if he could live on a baseball diamond, that's what my little boy would be.
Yeah.
But that's where he wanted to be. He wanted to be at the Boys and Girls Club doing art with Miss Liz. And so many kids, whether it's a family member passing on or someone losing their job or, things happening in their family life, especially after COVID, this work became even more important than it was before because we are that lifeline to these kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so just, all right, I got to just go in one direction real quick. You're in Queens. You got this little boy. He wants to be on a baseball diamond. Please tell me you're a Mets fan. And so, right? I mean, we have to say that, right?
We love being at Citi Field. We love being there. He's pitching to the Elm Jack Eagles, which is not that far away from Citi Field, over by another great nonprofit. Shout out to Vinny at Elm Jack Little League. Okay. Right between the airport and the entrance to Rikers, a great little league there. They serve 300 kids. So he pitches for their travel team, 14U.
I love it. My son is not a pitcher; he's a first baseman. But we were on the field the other day, and my wife says, "Hey, he's going to pitch." I said, "What do you mean?" And she overheard the coach talking to the commissioner of Little League. He plays travel ball too, but this is the town league. You got the town league, and you got travel ball, and so he was pitching. And they like him to be a pitcher. So, actually my business partner, Ed Probst, and the, founding partner of our firm, Vanguard Benefits, was a pitcher. We're all big Mets fans, but he pitched at New York Tech out here on Long Island. We should get him to meet your son one day. Maybe throw his son's a pitcher too. So anyway, pitch. Look, you know what? Having a kid get out there on the ball field, having them get away from some of the other nonsense, which I want to talk about in the next segment we come back. And it is, that's why these leagues are so important. That's why the Boys and Girls Club is so important. That's why Big Brothers, Big Sisters is so important, right? There's a lot of things, and I'm going to get on my soapbox. I can feel it. So when we come back from a commercial break, I'll get on my soapbox real quick and talk about the ills of the world and the challenges and set it up to what the programming of an organization like yours is all about and the importance of it. So why don't we just do that? I just keep talking about it. Why don't we take a quick 90-second break? Costa and Tommy D in the attic, Philanthropy and Focus, Variety Boys and Girls Club. We are right back.
Are you passionate about the conversation around racism? Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. TLC, host of the Dismantle Racism Show, which airs every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc. Join me and my amazing guests as we discuss ways to uncover, dismantle, and eradicate racism. That's Thursdays at 11 o'clock a.m. on talkradio.nyc.
In a post-COVID world, you may have many unanswered questions regarding your health. Are you looking to live a healthier lifestyle? Do you have a desire to learn more about mental health and enhance your quality of life? Or do you just want to participate in self-understanding and awareness? I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each Thursday, I will tackle these questions and work to enlighten you. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will be frank about health to advocate for all of us.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Living the dream, man. Living the dream. That's what people say sometimes. And I tell you this, at least for 1 hour a week, I'm living the dream. I get to meet with another leader of another nonprofit organization. And I've told you this before. I need to do the show more often. Selfishly, because I really feel good when I do it. And selflessly, because there's a lot of people I need to talk to. And if I only do it every Friday, I got to live for like 1,000 years. And I mean, even though I take good care of myself, I don't think I'm going to live that long. So let's figure out a way, gang. Help me out. How can I do the show every morning before I start my day with other things, where I do another episode of the show? We'll talk about that. All right. I shared the website while we were coming back from break, bgcqueens.org. B as in boy, G as in George, or B as in boy, G as in girl, C as in club, queens.org. Why don't we do it the right way, kid? So that's the website. Check that out. All right. Here's the thing. We know about that society the way it is. Sometimes both parents have to work, or maybe there are not two parents in the household and one parent is required to work just because that's what we need to do to survive in a capitalist society. We need to go get that money. That often, most jobs don't end at 2:45. When school lets out, or 3:15, there needs to be some support. If it's not an after school program in the community, listen, I'm going to just rattle off these things that scare the hell out of me right now, or it's not just one scares the hell out of me and the other concerns me. Fentanyl. I'm terrified. Okay. Mental health. We need to talk about it. We talk about it a little time in the show, and substance abuse in a general, discussion really is keeps coming up for me. Costa, this organization is there to give these young people the safety. You said a hot meal, somewhere to do their homework. I've never been involved with any sort of gang or anything like that, but the word gang, young people might be looking for community. And if they're looking for community, they're going to go where people are supportive of them. And, it doesn't necessarily mean the gang is something that turns into criminals, but it's people that are looking out for each other. Unfortunately, sometimes they do get in these spots and they do criminal activity. So we need to find ways and create and support organizations like yours that are doing the work, that from 4 to 6 or 4 to 7 or 3, where they're coming somewhere, where they're going to get somebody that's going to sit with them and do their homework, where you can go take swimming lessons and you can get involved in arts and craft. And having walked through the existing building, I got to see some of the areas where the young people can hang out. We all had lunch together in that big multi-purpose room you have. If I remember this, like not graffiti like criminal graffiti, but like graffiti murals on the walls and stuff like that. It's like a gymnasium auditorium area, because I took some pictures. I got to look at my Instagram. Again, we were talking earlier today. Twitter's not so much my game, but I'm very with my ADHD, taking a picture of something is very easy. And I could just then put it, hey, look at the picture. It's worth 1,000 words, maybe some more. All right. So let's talk about some of that stuff, because there are a lot of scary things. There are a lot of challenges for our young people to deal with. There's challenges for our older people to deal with. Talk to me about that. What is the day in the life of somebody who, they come out of school and they come to the community center?
Yeah, I mean, it's, kids come to us anywhere between 2:30 and 4 p.m. every day. We're a free program for the most part. We give them a hot meal right off the bat. So Chef Rennell is in our theater with our food. There's healthy snacks like apples and oranges and things like that. They don't want a meal, but they can have that too. But we don't know if they're going to have a hot meal when they get home. So we give them that hot meal every day. And then we have Power Hour, which is our homework help. And, that usually runs between ages 6 to 14, elementary and middle school. And they have the run of the building after that. They can do sports, they can do arts, they can go to the dance studio, they can go to the teaching kitchen, they can go to chorus, they can go to the STEM room, they can go to fashion club, and they can spend their afternoon, doing all of those things and being a kid and seeing what inspires them and catching that passion, whatever it is. Then about 6 o'clock, some of our younger kids, that age group starts rolling out and our teens start rolling in, right? Our teens start showing up about 5 o'clock and we have snacks for them and a PlayStation and Xbox and basketball. And, our building is open till 9 p.m. So for our teens, we're there for them till 9 p.m.
9 p.m. I found, by the way, this is that's the picture I'm talking about with that wall, with sorry if you're not watching, gang. If you can't watch, go to TommyD.NYC on the Instagram. But you got that really cool mural was it in that community room that I'm talking about, the theater, or was it somewhere else? I'm trying to remember.
No, it's in the theater. But we have it, we have some beautiful art outside, and the art in the theater is done by the kids, right? This was inspired by them and done by them.
Yeah. So thank you for that. So the hot meal, help with homework. The younger kids, can go to programming throughout STEM, artwork, music, chorus, and then, even the older kids can stay till 9 o'clock at night, because again, either they could go home, their parents are home from work at that point. However, there's all this opportunity for them to collaborate and socialize, right? And socialize in a supportive setting, right, Costa?
Yeah, I mean, and with the teams in particular, we start mixing in some other stuff too, right? So we have, SAT prep and resume building, college readiness, and financial literacy. And, we start mixing in all these other elements that, even though, they may decide, I'm here because my best friend's here. We try to meet them where they are, right? Whatever the reason is they're there. We try to make sure that we expose them to as many things as possible. They're like, oh, I want to take the SAT. What is that all about? And then they're in the SAT prep class. And it just kind of gives them that window into that future that maybe they want.
Tell me a story, if you could, about, and we can, as they say in those old shows, the names are left out or the names have been changed to protect the innocent or whatever. Remember those shows like Dragnet and stuff like that. But tell me somebody, in your experience, you're there 2 years. I'm sure you've seen some life-changing stuff in your time, but having the history of the organization being in operation for 65 years, can you, I have to be very certain that a lot of folks come back, and say, because I think I even asked you this on the tour, folks come back whose lives were impacted by Variety Boys and Girls Club of Queens. And now they're doing things professionally or otherwise, and they want to bring that back to the community. So talk to me about some of the big wins and successes, if you could.
So we've had, they're two of the people there's so many stories, but two that I'm really proud of. We had this young woman who actually was a club kid. She came back and worked for us, and she was putting herself through school because she really wanted to become an attorney. And she had a goal of becoming a judge one day. And, she recently left us because she started work as a paralegal at a law firm.
Wow, that's great. And,
here was a young woman who had been with our program all the way through, had come and been our greeter, our front desk. Everyone in the building loved her. And it was sad to see her go on the one hand, but it was also so exciting for her because we knew that, she was off to go fly to do these amazing things, to become an attorney, to go off one day and be a judge. We have another young man who I gave him Youth of the Year when I was a city council member. There's a picture of us together when he's like 13 years old in the club. And he went all the way through high school and college, put himself, went to engineering school, being one of our maintenance staff.
No kidding.
And then, recently graduated and became an engineer.
That's awesome.
And he still comes and hangs out on Saturdays with the kids and, with our athletic director, CP, and they've become very close friends over the years. But he's come back now and coming to help out and says to the kids, hey, you know me. I used to work here. I used to be a kid here. And now I'm an engineer. So you can do it too. like those are the kind of stories that really kind of inspire me as someone who works there. It's like, this is what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think we have to continue to see people in these leadership success. It doesn't have, not everybody has to be an engineer or an attorney. There's plenty of great city jobs that people might want, or if there are jobs in the trades, we certainly need more jobs in the trades. I know we don't have enough people in the trades. We hear this a lot. And I stand on this kind of on this platform saying I don't believe everybody is necessarily has to go to college. It's great if you want it, and if that's your scene. And I will tell you, you said it twice on this show, Costa, and I'll tell you, I was on that program similar to you in the college program. Like I flew out of Nassau Community College, went to Baruch in the city, but was tending bar at night and living in Nassau County. Needless to say, it was very difficult to get to a 7 o'clock class when I closed the bar at 4 a.m. So that didn't work so good. So eventually the Baruch said, "Hey, Tommy D, we'd like you to move out of the way and make room for another student who's actually going to show up for class." And they didn't exactly say it exactly how I just said it. They just said, "You actually don't go here anymore." But I did finish up at SUNY Old Westbury and got a degree in finance. And I will tell you though, I was on that longer program, but it's not necessarily for everybody, but if you as an individual want that college degree, or you're going to go into a profession that you need to go do it. If not, there's so many other opportunities. And I think it's about seeing people in these roles and seeing and getting exposed and getting access to these opportunities and positions. I mean, I'll give a shout out because I want to find a way to get our organization that I sit on the board of, the Spirit of Huntington Arts Center, connected to Variety, because I think there's some opportunities in what we do. One of the things that's really important, we're a community arts center, and actually we're going to be doing some work with TSINY, which I've talked about. We're going to be doing some work with Venture House, which is a clubhouse, mental health clubhouse setting in Queens, and with also space in Staten Island. But with Spirit of Huntington, one of the major things they have is an artworks program for young people who are aging out, who have intellectual developmental disabilities, to have an opportunity to learn digital artwork, graphic design work, website design. They just did our rebrand for my company, Vanguard Benefits. And there's so many different tracks that we can go down in life. And I was listening to somebody this morning that, like, we don't have to just do one thing. We can try so many different things. You're an attorney, right? You also were a city council member. Now, I mean, I have to guess whether you're in this job for the next 10 years or not, there's a lot of other things you're going to be able to do. There's a lot more impact you're going to be able to make on the community, right?
Yeah, I also adjunct at Queens College too. I try to give back in that way, which is a lot of fun. Wow. But you try to, there, like you talked about before, to go back to that. A lot of our kids, some of them want to go to college, and we're there to support them in that endeavor, whether it's college readiness or SAT prep. But we're also doing, job placement and workforce development, and working with organizations like Equinor, who's coming to Astoria and bringing renewable power, and Hydro-Quebec, that's bringing renewable power. Trying to see like how we can get our kids trained to be, the solar installers and the wind power, installers, and what are the pathways and how they get into that trade? Like how do they get into Local 3? And, shout out to Local 3 and Michael Yee and Chris Erickson there. We want to find pathways for our kids to get those good middle-class jobs, to support a family with good benefits. And, those are the jobs that build our communities and build, intergenerational wealth. No when you have these good jobs.
No doubt about it. And I have a lot of friends and family members who are Local 3 electricians, and they have a great lifestyle, and they love what they do, and they're making infrastructure and supporting infrastructure for the city and the growth of the city, right? So that's important. The United Way of Long Island has a program that, and I'm trying to do this right here on the spot, and I don't know how well it's going to work, but they have a program where they're training folks to work in those renewable fields, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to be going on here in Long Island. So we should talk about that offline, you and me.
Definitely.
Because from what you're talking about, these companies coming in, what were the companies that are coming in? Mention them again.
I'm sure it's Equinor, who made a great investment with the Boys and Girls Club. They invested $1.75 million for our new building, to build our new media and technology lab. TDI, Hydro-Quebec, they're going to be building a brand new renewable energy lab with us for $1.25 million, which we're very grateful for their support. Attentive Energy and Renewable Ravenswood are coming in, investing $1.5 million in our teens. So they're coming in, not just talking about, they're doing good work and bringing in renewable energy to the community, but they're also making investments in the community to train the kids who have been impacted by those power plants we talked about earlier across the street from their house.
Yeah.
To build renewable energy and to get those good jobs building it.
I love that. And that's, again, these companies, put your money where your mouth is, get involved in the community. And I love to hear that. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, I think that's a great segue into what I want to talk about, the future of the organization. What do you need? How can we help? Right. And then also this building that you and I talked about earlier this morning for a moment or two before we got started, because it's going to be an incredible boon to the community from what you've shared with me already. So let's leave them right on the edge. Gang, come right back to hear the big story. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
In a post-COVID world, you may have many unanswered questions regarding your health. Are you looking to live a healthier lifestyle? Do you have a desire to learn more about mental health and enhance your quality of life? Or do you just want to participate in self-understanding and awareness? I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each Thursday, I will tackle these questions and work to enlighten you. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will be frank about health to advocate for all of us.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
Join me in my attic, rocking my hoodie. Right, boys and girls, Club of Queens. All right, so Costa, Constantinides, CEO of Ride Boys and Girls Club. We're going to finish this show off in this segment here. This is an organization currently serves 4,000 young people. However, in his leadership, he has helped secure millions in capital funding towards this reimagined clubhouse that will serve not 4,000 young people, but 16,000 young people. We're going to talk about that now. We're going to talk about this building. Before we do, I shared in the chat for you, and I just want to shout it out. It's United Way Long Island has a program called Power Up, which is a wind, solar, and renewables program. Love to hook you up with the team over there because maybe there's something you guys can collaborate on.
I love that.
Yeah, let's work that out. We'll make that happen. So, but the building, well, I've seen the plans. I'm super excited to just be kind of in the know a little bit on this. You're talking to me about Equinor, TDI, Hydro Quebec, all these companies coming together, writing the checks, supporting the STEM programs. Give me the vision, your board's vision about what this building's all about.
Really, Walter and Steve Zimmerman and other members of our board, really put this vision together 10 years ago. Because I really looked at the club during the day and said, it's empty until we start. Mm-hmm. All right, until we're an after school program. So how do we build something that maybe is going to be used 24/7? So they came up with this vision that I've been so lucky to be able to contribute to and be able to move forward. But talking about the first planetarium in Queens, 1,000-seat sports arena, a regulation pool, a 200-seat black box theater, the biobus, a bat cave. Shout out to Grubhub, who's supporting our teaching kitchen. We appreciate the investment there for our new building. We're going to have renewable energy learning labs. All the buildings going to be renewable, 100% fossil fuel free. Be renewable energy the whole way. This building hopefully is going to be transformative, and it's going to serve, like you talked about, 16,000 kids, because like there are 8,000 kids below the poverty line in our catchment area. And, we're not able to serve everyone right now. At 4,000, we're at our limit. We are in, and this building's been there since 1955. Our boiler has been there since 1955. It costs us like $300K a year just to like maintain our current building. That's not a sustainable model. So we gotta grow. We gotta serve more kids. We gotta be there for them. So this new building allowed us to serve 16,000 kids, and our goal, with all of our sites, all that we do, is to serve 30,000 kids by 2030. That's the mission.
Well, so the planetarium, the black box theater, the 1,000-seat arena, right? But there's also what's above the building as we go up into sort of air rights. What's up there?
Yeah. So we're going to have 229 units of fully affordable housing, 80 AMI or below. For those of you that aren't like zoning folks in New York City, that means like 2 bedrooms for like $1,200. So there's not a whole lot of those going around these days in New York City.
And the thing is, though, there's such a need for this type of this housing. I mean, not to get on the kind of the soapbox again, but there's one of these things where we need to make housing more affordable for people. It just doesn't make sense. And I hail from Nassau County, so it's even more challenging out here, I think, for folks. So 229 units, all affordable housing. Are we like what? And there's this piece about the young people who are aging out of foster care. Talk to me about that, because we haven't talked about that on the show. We talked about it earlier.
So 229, so 229 total, but of that, 60 of them are set aside as supportive units for young people aging out of foster care, who are one of the most vulnerable populations to homelessness in the city of New York. We're going to have ICL, our nonprofit partner, who's going to come in and provide them wraparound services. So mental health, financial literacy, college access, job training, workforce development, well-being, and just really be there for them to help them get to that next step. Right? It'll be their first apartment out of foster care. They'll have the same opportunity that every other kid does to succeed and get there. Go after their dreams.
Yeah, I know that population has some challenges. I mean, at 18 years old, they're now out of foster care. Am I right? Is it 18?
Yeah.
So I joked with you earlier today, for better or for worse, I didn't move out of my parents' house till I was 28. So
30 for me.
30 for you. Listen, when your mom still does the laundry and stuff like that, it's no rush to get the heck out of there. At least in my world, it wasn't.
You live in an Italian, Greek, you're not supposed to leave until you get married. That's just the way it is. You don't go out on your own. That's a foreign concept.
And that's when I left, when I got married. I moved out of Nassau County and we bought an apartment in Glen Oaks, Queens. So in Glen Oaks Village. So right across Island Parkway there. So I'll tell you, it's 18 years old and having, gone through foster care, for all the blessings of families, sometimes it's very difficult for young people who are through the system like that. Yeah, that you say wraparound services, because it's one thing to give somebody housing, but we need to support them so they can grow, and whether it be vocational or mental health, as you say, or financial support, like financial education, and it's not so different than the folks you're serving already. Like, where are you going to go next? What do you want to do next? How can we support you? How can we give you that leg up? Right.
Exactly. I mean, every one of these kids, deserve the opportunity to seek out whatever future they want, whatever that dream looks like, right? Whether it's a lawyer or a doctor, an engineer, or, working as a plumber or electrician, all of these jobs are important jobs. All of these jobs are futures that every child should have the opportunity to succeed at and to get to. So we want them to give them that pathway they can chase whatever dream it is, whatever that looks like. We want to be there for them. So that's our mission. And we're really excited about the possibility of, going into construction, late this year, early next, and to hopefully have this building open by 2026 and ready to rock and roll and serve the community.
What is it? A couple of years to build this building or what?
It's probably about two and a half. It's New York City construction. So I say 2 and a half with both fingers crossed.
there might be some change orders as you're going through a big project like this one.
Yeah.
We got 2 minutes left, minute and a half. I want you to just tell me real quick, anything you need, any connections in the city, maybe we can make for you. You're pretty wired in yourself, but anybody or anything we might be able to help with.
And, just anything that anyone's able to bring to the table, we are appreciative of it. I mean, we had the Motion Picture Club earlier this year. They donated, costumes to, ballerina costumes. And we had our fashion club carve them up and made beautiful, creations of their own, whatever it is, big or small, millions of dollars or time. And, whatever you can do, that's what we need. Anytime we take an interest in our young kids, it goes a long way.
You may have the next Vera Wang or Tommy Hilfiger in your midst right there in Astoria. Who knows, right? We never know. It's about accessibility and opportunity. Give these kids options, give them access, and then they will do great things and be great parts of our future. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, Costa. I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate all the work you're doing and really being, as we said a couple times throughout the show, the public servant, servant leadership. I love that term, servant leadership. You know what? Leading from the front, but taking care of everybody and reaching back and bringing people forward. Anything else you want to say, sir, before we head out?
No, Tommy, thank you so much. I had a real blast, man. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on, really. Thank you for all that you're doing to do this and connect us.
I am thrilled to know you, and I'm thrilled to be a part of what you're doing in any way I can. This is one of those ways. Everybody, do me a favor, make it a great day, make it a great weekend, get involved in your community. You don't have to go out and do 60 days of nonprofit service. That's what some people want to do, like this guy. But you might want to go out and do a day, a quarter, a day, a month, a day, a week, maybe. That's 52 days if you do a day a week. Anyway, I'm like a math magician here. Make it a great day, get involved, be the change you want to see in the world. Take care. Have a great one.